Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Macho Show. I am Medusa.
Oh yeah!
And I am joined by two awesome men. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Really? You're going to hang me out to dry? Every other show, you're like, and here's my lovely assistant, Madcap. But it's like,
Because
you can introduce yourself now.
Because you're always disappointed with how I introduce you, so I figured that you do a better job.
Well, I'm Madcat, damn it.
Oh shit! I forgot there's a fucking smoke alarm here. My bad.
That's what you get, huh?
Wow, that was amazing.
There's no reason that went off. Don't worry about it.
I'm just wondering why there was a delayed reaction.
Because I'm just that kind of person. But anyways, it's smoking. Anyways, today we are joined by a very awesome guest that you may or may not have heard of. If you haven't, then you're pretty lame. But
you didn't hear about him until a week ago, so don't say anything.
Well, I was pretty lame, and now I'm woke. But yeah, welcome Terrance Popp to the Macho Show. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Boom, beer me.
I got one. Oh, but yeah, so this is gonna be a fun show. We're pretty much just gonna talk about like whatever. Memorial Day is coming up, so that's always a good topic. We are very supportive of our veterans always on the Macho Show. You can chime in anytime here, Madcat.
I'm hanging you out to dry.
Damn
back to bitch.
Knock it off. Oh, you're good with the words sometimes.
Yes, I'm good at making shit off the top of my head.
Exactly.
So, Memorial Day, Monday, very big holiday. We celebrate our fallen soldiers. And mostly we just celebrate the soldiers, period. But, and it's good that we have Terrance Popp on here. He produced a video many years ago that really explains this very well in a very dramatic way, but still very well, that it's not just from wars that our veterans die. It's trying to come back and be a part of society. It's not like they're incapable of doing it. It's like, it's almost as if the world just wants to hate soldiers. We want to support them when they're in the war, but when they come back, it's like we want to distance ourselves from them as much as possible. And it's uncanny on how we do that. And that's why days like Memorial Day is so important, not just for the fallen soldiers in battle, but for the fallen soldiers that society decided was not good enough. And probably the number one killer, if I'm quoting you correctly, Popp, do you prefer Popp, T-Bone, T-Steak?
Popp is fine, man.
Popp. Is divorce courts. I mean, women wanting to divorce their husbands who are in the military. And it's probably the best advice you can give anyone going into the military. Don't get married first. Wait until you get out, if at all.
If at all. Yeah, I mean, it's rough out there. I mean, 33 years of carnage. I've seen soldiers just get ripped apart. Thousands of careers ruined, probably somewhere in the couple of dozen suicides / motorcycle questionable accidents.
Dang.
Yeah, and, I don't know. I mean, before I went to Iraq in 2004, I was a blue pill guy. I was in it to win it. I got married, wanted to have kids. I wanted to be the guy, the dude, the good father.
Right.
Got wounded, came back from Iraq, and my now ex-wife just flipped her script and went fucking Conan on my ass and used the system to absolutely destroy me. I still have the email where she announced exactly what she's going to do to me. And, it's fucking crazy. Killed my dog. I mean, it's like a country song, man. It's crazy.
I didn't know about that. It's crazy. Jeez.
Yeah, I filed
on top of everything. Like, why the dog?
Yeah, I filed for divorce first. So
Yeah.
they were using my paperwork, which was very tame. Her paperwork was, kick me out of the house, supervised visitations. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
So, I left for 3 weeks to go do a mission, came back, dog was gone, and she looked me right in the face and said, "I told you I didn't want you living here."
Wow.
Yeah, so she basically wanted me to, flip out and tune her up, and then it would be an auto win for her in divorce court.
Ugh.
Yeah. So,
Good on you for having self-control. Like,
yeah.
holy shit.
It was tough. I mean, like, the back of my mind, Evil Pop is like, this is why chicks get punched.
Dude, I mean, you just can't, like, you can't do anything anymore. Not even to defend yourself most of the time. It's like, it's ridiculous.
No. I mean, the only really thing you could do was wear a body camera.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, they will not believe anything you say.
Mm-hmm.
You can have 2 or 3 friends with you as witnesses because they're your friends and they're men. They don't fucking count.
Right.
Nope.
Well, that reminds me of a story I heard. I think it had something to do with the MMA. I don't remember. But some guy, his woman started beating on him. And the smart thing he did is he took out his camera phone and started recording it, because I think he might have called the police. And when he came there, he showed them the video right away. Now, they didn't take her away or anything, but they just said, okay, you two need to just separate. But,
Of course.
I've had this experience where I had a woman beating on me, and I knew that if I called the police, they'd probably arrest me.
Yep.
So it's like,
even if you didn't lay a single finger on her and it was all like, it doesn't matter if she says that you did, then well, guess you did.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, and it's horrible when they try to use it and leverage in divorce and custody as well.
They used it in divorce and custody many, many times. And not only do they accuse you of just regular physical abuse, some of these women are claiming like sexual molestation of the kids. And it's an auto fucking lose for you. I mean, you're fucked.
Well, and that I understand why women are doing that. They're trying to leverage it. But what surprised me about your situation from your videos is that they could use the military in a detrimental way, saying that you're an assassin and a murderer. And it's like, are these judges morons? They know what the military is. You serve our country. You saved our country. And go ahead.
And the ones that were pushing that narrative were the people from Friend of the Court. Okay, they brought it up like 2 or 3 times during the court sessions, and the judge finally said, this is enough of that. There is no evidence, no police reports. The police have never even been to that house. Stop this. This is bullshit. And then they flipped their script, and then they're like, right before the final day in court, I had they called me 45 minutes ahead of time and said I needed to get a psychological evaluation into them if I wanted to have any chance at joint physical custody, and there's no fucking way I could do that. And it was because I had a TBI in Iraq, even though I had been returned to full duty, and I was off profile and I was humming along doing my job, but I thought that was some dirty ass pool myself. So I mean, that really pissed me off.
Having watched the show How to Make a Murderer on Netflix, I mean, I hear something like that and I'm thinking, yeah, they're going to send you to one of their psychologists and just return a report that says, oh yeah, he's fucking crazy. I mean, that happened to me, not with divorce or anything, but when I was dealing with my disability and having to deal with worker comp doctors, they said there was nothing wrong with me, or that if there was something wrong with me, it was a pre-existing issue, even though it didn't start until after my injury.
Yep.
So.
And I mean, I was thinking earlier, like, the fact, like, how you were saying, my cat, about how people, like, just want to, like, kind of not think about veterans. They just push it to the back of their mind. And it's like, it's very similar to what a lot of people do to, like, the homeless. And not a coincidence that a lot of the homeless are veterans. So
And
it's like,
and men.
yeah, exactly. Like most homeless are men, and it's pretty obvious.
I mean, I was homeless for about 3 months myself.
Wow. I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, and
I was too.
a lot of guys that I talked to while I was in that situation, you know, were basically wrecked by a divorce or the effects thereafter. I mean, if you get thrown in jail for 30 days for some crazy bullshit, when you get out, you don't have a car, an apartment, house, or a job.
Mhm.
What are you going to do? There you go.
Yeah, in our calendar, 2018 calendar, Unvarnished Void, we mentioned that 90%, 92% of homeless are men, 12% being veterans, and that 51% of the homeless are single men. Now, I wonder if that also includes divorced men as well.
You know, I've seen stats all over the place, but in all of them, there's a large percentage of veterans and a large percentage of males. You know, they need to actually do a comprehensive study on this because, you know, there's really a lot of different stats in regards to the homeless and that's out there. Like if you go to the VFW site and talk, and you get different stats. Veterans, what's the other one? There's a couple other veteran ones. There's different stats. What is it? USAA or ARP? They did a study on homelessness, and there are different stats out there, and they need to have an overarching study so they can nail down those statistics once and for all.
I agree. But people don't really focus that much on men anymore. They're
No, they
worried
don't.
about how the women's suicide rates are rising, even though the men's have been skyrocketing forever.
Like
Yeah.
that one commercial that says 1 in 4 homeless is women, and it's like that means 3 in 4 are men.
Correct.
But no, it's just ridiculous, and there's not nearly as many resources for men either, especially because there's only 2-3 domestic violence shelters for men. Not that that really has a lot to do with like veterans, but homeless and getting kicked out of your house because you can't go home to a wife that's gonna abuse you. Like, what are you gonna do with your kids? You can't go to a women's shelter.
No. For instance, if my ex-wife, her paperwork had gotten to the court, I'm kicked out of the house. My bank accounts are frozen. I have supervised visitation with my kids, and it's like it's an auto. I just got lucky.
Now, a personal question for you, Pop, because one thing I haven't been able to find out about you is, do you have any visitation with your kids now, or are you still cut off?
Yeah, I do. I had my ex-wife in court like every 20 some odd days for 2 years.
Oh wow!
And I managed to get 3 weekends a month now, and then it was really hard because I had them 3 weekends a month for like 4 years. Then I got transferred to New York State, and for 5.5 years, I drove 571 miles one way to see my kids twice a month. And in the winter, I took the train. It was a fucking nut roll. I missed very few visitations with my kids, and mainly because I was just doing stuff for the Army. I never ever once just said, you know what, I'm just not doing it. That never happened.
Right. That's awesome.
I drove 2 cars into the ground. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Jeez, that's scary.
Well, I mean, is it scary? Not really, but you'd be surprised what you could do if you can just focus your mind on the task ahead of you.
Yeah, I've always felt that way. Like, I haven't been in a lot of like emergency situations, but I feel like when I am, then I'm usually like very analytical person, not someone who just panics. Thankfully. I mean, well, I'm panicking on the inside, but then, I'm able to, like, just go, which not so much, like, as far as, like, masculine things, obviously, but, like, little ways, little womanly ways, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that really matters in that situation, Medusa, is are you part of the solution or are you adding to the problem? And you may not think it's masculine, but being part of the solution is the most masculine thing you can do.
True. Very true. Yeah, like, God, whenever I'm, like, around a bunch of females that are all, like, drunk and just going crazy and, like, starting drama, I'm always, like, the, what do they call it? What's the opposite of instigator? I'm the one that calms everything down. Oh.
Yep. I've seen many a drunk pack of feeding piranhas out in the bars.
Oh God, it's scary. That's why I don't really go out too much, because it always ends, or something weird always happens.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in New York, when I wasn't traveling back to see my kids, I would go to the bars and interview women at the bar and ask all kinds of raunchy ass questions and shit. Yeah, they loved it.
That sounds awesome. Oh, we should do that if you're able to come down for a meetup, my cat.
That would be cool.
I was thinking about interviewing people on the street.
Rate charger too.
Oh, no, yeah, I feel like I'd have to be the one that talks to them, then they wouldn't care.
Well, I would actually walk up, hand them my cards. I have a card. I'm gonna put it up here. Maybe you can see it.
Okay,
and,
nice.
and then I'd have a clipboard and a pen, and I'd be like, "Look, I'm a real world comedian, and I have some. I need to find out the scenario here. Is it okay if I ask you some questions? There's gonna be some adult content, probably some swearing. If you don't want to hear that, just say no, and I would, if they said yes, then we would begin. If no, I'd move on to the next one."
Nice. That sounds fun.
That would be a great social experiment. I hope you don't mind if we use that.
No. Go ahead.
So a question I have for you, for when you were back in the service, you were in charge of a lot of people. What was your interaction like with female soldiers? Were they good to go as being soldiers, or was it like today you had to wear kid gloves?
It all depends upon the individual female soldier. Now, I did 22 years in special operations. I was on jump status, and there were no women. I never had to deal with them. Rangers in the airborne infantry and the special forces, no women, never had to deal with them. And then when I got divorced, I had to switch back to the conventional army and work in civil affairs. And that's when I really got a crash course in female soldiers, and
oh boy,
it was crazy. It was crazy.
I want to hear about this.
Well, I had a few of them that were, whatever you told them to do, they would try their asses off, and I had no problem with those soldiers at all. Even everything you do in the army, you don't have to succeed at everything, but you do have to try.
Right. Exactly.
That's all I ask. But I had other female soldiers. I would get to roll their eyes. I'm not doing that. It's too heavy. Blah blah blah.
Oh God.
And I would write them up. I didn't really play a lot of games with them. I never got into any pissing matches. Like when they would start to get all wonky, I'd be like, "All right, just at ease. Stop talking right now. Go see I would go see Sergeant First Class T, which was another female sergeant who worked in a parallel billet to me. I'm like, you will speak to her, and if anything you have to say is relevant, she'll relay it to me. And get away from me." I would do that like maybe once a week. They'd be. I wouldn't even let them in my office. I'd be like, "Stop! Don't enter my office. What do you want? No, get out."
That's awesome.
It was crazy. And they couldn't pass PT, and then they would never throw them out. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest. there are female soldiers out there that can hack it, and I have nothing against those women.
Yeah.
But I have a severe problem when the institution is lowering standards to allow these women to stay.
Yeah.
All they do is weaken the force.
Absolutely. It makes no sense. It's like it's the same in every situation. Like, would you want anyone like protecting you to not be at their best? Like, like why would you not want to, try your best and be at the very at the level that you're supposed to be to make things work like essentially the way they should, I don't know.
Well, I have the joke that whenever you're in New York and there's a fire, you need to call the fire department, ask for a man to come save you, because standards are lowered for women to make it almost like they have to do nothing to pass.
Yep.
And I don't think that's sexist to ask for a man to come save you.
Actually, I had this debate in college years ago with a bunch of feminists that were flipping out over some shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I finally said, okay, let's go to hypothetical land. You roll up in front of your house, it is on fucking fire. Your kids are in there, you just talked to them on the phone, and you see the fire truck pulling up. Who do you want to see get off that fire truck? 4 250-pound men swinging axes and carrying ladders, or 4 130 to 150-pound women? It's your kids on the line. Make a decision. Most of them are like, I want the dudes. And I'm like, why is that? And I'd be like, because a 250-pound dude can like John Wayne doors, run with 2 people one under each arm and somebody on his back, run through drywall, tear stuff up. I mean, that's what we're designed to do. Mm-hmm. Women, not so much.
Right. I mean, there are women that I've seen women that are built like men, like fucking huge, and more power to them if they are able to do some crazy shit like men are, then they should fucking do it. But it's like, don't pretend to be something you're not.
Yeah, I've seen those women. I call them the German refrigerators.
German refrigerators. Wait, can you explain that to me?
They just are a box. There's no curve. It's
oh. That's awesome. Okay, now I know what you mean. Yeah, there's like the big, just fucking butch-looking women.
I don't have a problem with them as long as they got a good rack on them. But what are you gonna do?
There you go.
Yeah. If you're fat, you might as well have the tits to match.
True.
Well, speaking about the firefighter issue, probably the thing that annoys me most is you get a women's group, none of which are interested in being firefighters, none of which can pass anything resembling any sort of physical training, and they're wanting to sue the fire department for $50 million, and won, by the way, because they're not trying to recruit enough women into it. Last time I checked, most people who wanted to be in the firefighter had to first show up. They don't actively go and recruit you. You go there and say, I think I could fight fires. And they'll say to you, okay, go pass this course. If you can do it, then we'll talk.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Mr. Misanthropic just in the chat just said, when I got out of the military, women only had to do 15 push-ups as opposed to a man's 40 in 2 minutes, and had 2 to 3 extra minutes on the run. I can barely do a push-up, but like...
Is that the Army PT standards?
Yeah, I believe he said he was in the Army.
Okay, like the minimum push-ups were not 42 for a man. There was like 52 back in the day.
Okay.
So a dude has to do 52 just to get 65%.
Oh, wow.
And the woman has to do 15, 18, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, when I was in the Air Force in '99, I believe the standard was 35 push-ups and 45 sit-ups. Of course, it's the Air Force. I know what you're going to say, but
I have nothing. I don't have anything negative to say about the Air Force. They're good to go. Their chow halls are like Denny's, and
Fuck
their
yeah!
barracks are a hotel. Yeah.
Matt Cat, did you know that Andrew actually wanted to be in the Air Force before he found out he had epilepsy?
No, I did not.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, actually, his friend, I can't remember. I think he went to either the Army or the Marines, and he actually ended up dying in battle, which is really sad. But it was his best friend too. But yeah, he wanted to go in the Air Force. They both wanted to go in the military, and then he found out that he couldn't. So yeah, that sucks. But he's doing really good at stocks.
Everyone should have a right to serve their country in some form or fashion. But, I'll be honest, I failed out of the military because it was never my decision. It was always my stepfather's decision. He says, you're too stupid to go to college. The Air Force is the only thing for you to do, because he went in the Air Force. And the military life was not for me. I have a lot of respect for those in the military. But the ironic part is then after I got out of the military, I got a bachelor's degree. So joke's on him.
No, I went in at 17. There's no other options for me. So, I mean, that's what I did.
Dang. It's crazy.
I went in straight leg general infantry, E1, nothing, and worked my way up, starting off from the very bottom of the pile.
What was your highest rank?
First sergeant. E8, yeah.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
That is very impressive that you really worked your way all the way up there.
And it's not just rank, though. I mean, I start off in the straight leg infantry, worked my way up, got handpicked to go to airborne school from Sergeant Major Kidd. Then I was selected by Sergeant Major Leon Guerrero to go to the Ranger Battalion, which is unheard of. Most people from the Ranger Battalion, they get hurt, they get in trouble, they get sent to Legland. Guys coming from Legland going to the Rangers is next. It never happens. It was unprecedented. And then I did my time in the Rangers, threw in a packet for SF, and I made that. And and I just kept going forward.
Someone in the chat said, "Top made it to the top." Or wait, Pop made it to the
top. I'm sure he's never heard that one before.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times. It's all good.
Oh, that's great. Oh, cheers.
So, are you going to be doing anything special for Monday to honor the vets?
I don't know. I'll talk to Blake, my producer. We might put something together. Yes, we'll see what's up.
Nice.
So I meant to watch your 100,000 subscriber video about your origin, which every time I click on one of your videos, there's another one pops up. It's like, ooh, that looks interesting. Ooh, that looks interesting. And I never watch the ones of yours that I really want to watch because I'm distracted. But how is it that you went from, dealing with your ex-wife to getting into doing the videos?
Well, I run a nonprofit called secondclasscitizen.org, and it's for non-custodial parents, primarily veterans. And I just, want to put the information out there, of what exactly is going on and how to deal with a friend of court and navigate the court system. And when I was doing that, I made I think half a dozen videos that were very depressing, to include the Purple Heart's Final Beat, which is the suicide one you were talking about.
Oh, wow.
And then I was just like, I just can't do this forever. It's just too negative. I mean, and not only that, but most people, when they see negative stuff, they shut down. So after a while, you start talking negative, and then you're just talking to a bunch of blank slates that are absorbing nothing. So, I'm like, hey, I got to change shit around and try it from the other end. And then I've searched for the domain name redonkulas.com and got it. And that was it.
Awesome. Is that just something that you've like always said, or is it something you came up with like randomly?
No. I mean, I heard of the word redonkulus from Shrek,
Okay.
but nobody could ever tell you, exactly what redonkulus meant. And I came up with a definition. If it's wrong and ridiculous, it's redonkulus.
Okay, I like that. All right, because I've always said that like in my household, like just as a like a funny thing, probably from Shrek too, but that's great. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and once I got the domain, and then I've always had all these funny ideas, and then a lot of times, a lot of the original material and stories, I would tell to my therapist, and we would spend an hour with him just laughing his ass off. And I'm like, why am I paying a guy $300 an hour to laugh at me when I could make videos and make everyone laugh and maybe make some money? Which I don't make much money doing this at all. I mean, the money pretty much goes to, pay for the next production or get some more equipment and stuff like that, or buy booze for the bar. I'm not getting rich doing this. I'm just doing it because I want to help some other people and help myself at the same time.
That's actually something recently that me and Medusa came under fire for, because we're, like I said, we're doing the calendar, and we're doing our second one for next year. And we're putting on YouTube that we're looking for female models and male models. And someone's like,
"Oh, this separate calendars," but yeah.
But it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is just a con job," and it's like, how is this a con job? We have already done it one time. If all we're and there are other people like, "Oh, you're just trying to make money on the suffering of men." And it's like, if we were trying to make money, the last thing we would do is a calendar. There's like so much overhead costs. I mean, for the 2018 calendar, I made $0. I mean, I had all of this money and I couldn't touch it. That's like the worst torture of all. But it's like I made zero profit. True. Everything went into trying to make the calendar happen.
Yep. And you know what? I get a lot of hate mail, and to be honest, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't get any original hate mail. It's all like, your penis is small, you're gay, you can't get a girlfriend, you're a loser, you hate your mother, you're a terrible father. I mean, everything. They don't have any constructive arguments. And I respond, I'm like, listen, you can attack me a couple times. I'm a big boy. I'm not gonna run to the teacher on the playground and complain or anything.
Right.
But sooner or later, you got to have an argument to counter my points.
And actually, I'm very proud of that moment. Every time someone complains about what we're doing, I just feel like if you're not pissing someone off, then you're doing something wrong.
You are not doing your job.
Yeah. So I'm happy that people are coming and attacking us, because it's just funny to me. It's like, that means that we're doing exactly what we need to be doing.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, nowadays, there are people out there who want to use physical violence. So.
Yeah. And it seems to be a little bit.
I train for that every day. So.
Yeah.
When and if it happens, I'll be ready.
Yeah, I actually just had a friend on Facebook who he's a shit poster. He's a lot like you, Pop. But he often talks about the bullshit that feminists and social justice warriors do. And they took it a step farther and actually contacted his wife and threatened her. And she got so scared by it. She's like, you just need to stop. He doesn't want to stop, but he loves his wife so much that he's willing to stop. And that's just so crazy that they can't win on their own merit. They can't just threaten you. They have to go after your loved ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's actually a pretty common modus operandi since the beginning of history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, Andrew sneezed like 5 times. You okay out there?
Oh yeah, that's relevant to what we're talking about.
I just heard him sneezing like super loud. I wasn't sure if you could hear it. You good?
Yeah, good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No,
But
I do
yeah.
have to give you a lot of kudos for what you do on your show. I just watched your Chappelle episode, and it's like, I never really thought about that, but you're like, right. He predicted so much about what our society has become. And it's like, I was thinking to myself, Chappelle probably just like, what's the craziest thing I could think of? Oh, a black guy in the KKK. And it's like, now black people are called white supremacists. And
But
it's
just think how much talent Chappelle has to pull that off. That was flawlessly hilarious.
I'm gonna have to watch that video that you
I laughed my balls off the first time I saw that.
I just have to think that white guy is like the luckiest man in the world. He can say the N-word and no one's offended.
Yeah, and I'm still getting a lot of guff over that one. I mean, I get a lot of negative comments and hate mail for that one too. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, and all this stuff about slavery. And like, listen, slavery is a shitty fucking thing. Okay.
Right. I don't think anyone will argue that.
Yeah, no one will argue that. I'm not saying it was a good thing. It was terrible. Right? But no one that is alive today was alive in the 1860s when it ended. Okay? And I wasn't there. The victims, that weren't there. Why should I have to pay somebody for something that they never experienced? This is ridiculous. This whole reparations thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little worse than that because we still have slavery in Africa.
That's absolutely correct.
There are still Muslims that enslave black people enslaving other black people. Where's the outrage?
Islam has been enslaving people since, I believe, the 1200s. And in fact, you couldn't even go into the Mediterranean back in the day, back when on sailing ships, without getting waylaid and turned into a slave. Now, the slaves that went into the Middle East, because those guys didn't play around, they cut your balls off. And you became a eunuch. That didn't happen to the slaves that went over to North America, because now we have 14% of the population are black people. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that, slavery existed since basically the 1200s, and even back during Rome. I'm not going to go back that far. But it's been an ugly portion of our history since we started rubbing sticks together and making fire.
Actually, the newest argument I've heard recently, because we're saying, well, Genghis Khan, he had slaves and raped a bunch of women, and Rome, they had slaves as well. It's like, oh, but slavery in Rome wasn't that bad. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I know.
People go into mines and work to death, and you're saying slavery wasn't that bad?
Yeah, the average lifespan of a salt miner or a coal miner or whatever they were mining for, 3 to 5 years. That's
what
it.
are they saying, like, compared to black slavery in America or something?
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
America, Rome wasn't that bad. That's how America was just the worst form of slavery ever.
God.
And another thing I find really, really disturbing is, as a white man, I'm not allowed to talk about slavery. It's like a taboo subject. It's ridiculous. Right. It's a terrible fucking thing. And it's still going on today, and nobody's doing anything about it. Sooner or later, the people that are going to do something about it are a bunch of white men.
Yeah.
No, listen,
it's ridiculous.
I'm just being honest. When you look at our history, the Caucasian race has ran roughshod over the entire globe, waged multiple huge wars where millions of people were killed, and built a nuclear weapon. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And created the largest communication network in the world that we're using right now.
Yeah. What about the air travel, the trains, the rockets that go into space? I mean, It's crazy. It's crazy. And you know, and I don't play those games. You know, I'm just a dude. I don't have any problem with anybody as long as they don't bother me. And that's just the way I like to have it. But I'm just so sick and tired of being blamed for shit I had nothing to do with. About
Right.
some crazy white privilege or male privilege that I'm supposed to have that never existed, because everything I have ever done, everything that I have, nobody gave me shit. You know, all they did was give me an opportunity to earn it. That's it. That's all. That's all you should actually. Anyone should be able to get that.
Right.
It's not about equality, it's about equity, about opportunity to succeed. And if you don't take that opportunity, it's your own damn fault if you're in the shitter.
Like you know, if you don't do well in high school or you don't graduate high school, I'm sure you probably heard 1,000 times, if you don't graduate high school, life will be really hard.
Yeah.
Did you not believe them when they told you that?
I feel like everybody did.
Well, and that's why
the shit out of me. But.
Yeah. No,
well, that's why it's also a
scared
concern that less and less males are graduating high school because they're being expelled out, that they're being treated as defective girls, and we're telling them this is the one thing you have to do well in life, and we're going to deny it for you because we hate you for being a male.
Pretty much. That's fucked up. Sooner or later, it's going to blow up in everyone's face.
Yeah.
It is. You know, I hope it doesn't happen in my lifetime, but chances are it probably will.
Yeah. What was it that I said the other day, Mad Cat? Like,
I don't listen to you. You're a woman.
I know. But it was about it was like one day next women are gonna start complaining because no man will impregnate them, and it's like, oh well, like do you really think a guy is gonna want to like have sex with you when you're just gonna like twist it around and like, hi Pup?
No, but I'm just saying that there is no.
How are you?
I don't know. It is my personal belief that the way it's set up right now is it is absolutely no benefit for a man to get involved in a long-term relationship / marriage with a woman.
Well, and we're starting to see these problems around the world, especially in Japan and Germany. They're reporting that there is a decrease in.
They're not at the replacement rates for their population.
Right.
The same thing's happening here. It's been going on since I think the late 60s.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, guys are having to like, or men and women are having to like hire people to teach them how to interact with other people because they don't know how to socialize anymore, or like how to do it without being like afraid of the other person. It's like, why does it have to come to that? That's absolutely ridiculous.
It's so easy. All you do is walk up, make eye contact, and go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And if you fail at saying something to someone, the next person you go to, don't say that. Trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was on your episode, one of your episodes, but I've heard this before. Men are now afraid to train women. They're not going to be more women.
No, I've had problems with that myself too. So I mean, I know exactly what they're and this was actually years ago when I was working in finance when I was in the National Guard. I used to do VA loans for veterans, and I did FHA. You know, they're government programs, 30-year fixed, you know, or a 15-year fixed, very stable product. I did them all for half the country, basically from the Mississippi River to the East Coast. Well, I was one of the other loan officers was a female, and you know, she basically accused me in a roundabout term of basically mansplaining. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And I let it go. I just did an about face, went back to my office. I didn't want to get in any trouble. A couple weeks later, I get called into a meeting with me, the regional manager, and he's like, hey, you got to train these people how to do VA loans. And I'm not doing that. She told me I was mansplaining. She can fucking figure it out herself. I'm not doing it. My job description is not trainer. I'm here to be a VA alone. I have great numbers. I'm not doing it. And I just got up and walked out. I refused to have anything to do with that woman after that. And I don't blame any dude in today's environment if they like, hey, you need to, do a left seat, right seat with Molly Sue and get her up to speed. And you're like, yeah, that'd be great until she makes an accusation and I lose my house, car, life, my career. No, it's not worth it. Tell her to look on YouTube or get a book and read to figure it out her fucking self. That's just my opinion, of course. What do I know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I don't know. It really depends. Like when women have male mentors, they almost always see them as like a bad thing. And then when they have female mentors, it's either they hate them and they act really nice to their face, or they like actually look up to them. And it's like, why can't you just fucking like just do your job? Like, it's not that hard.
I found the opposite to be true, that when women have male mentors, they respect them a lot more and they feel they get more out of the relationship. But when it comes to female mentors or female bosses, they just immediately hate them. They do whatever they can to undermine them.
Women on women is not good in the workplace.
Which is very unfortunate, because a couple of bad apples are ruining it for all other women.
Correct. Yeah. And then I've had a couple of really good female commanders, really good, and I had a lot of terrible female commanders.
In what way were they terrible?
Let's see, vindictive, arrogant, incompetent, spiteful, would not listen to reason. I mean, it was like, I can't tell how many times I sit there and be like, this is what we need to do. The regulation says this, and this, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do as a senior NCO. I mean, you've been on the ground so long, you know the deal. So you get these officers come in and they're like, no, we're going to do it my way. I'm like, all right, get ready for the slow motion train wreck, because this is going off the cliff. Don't look away. You might miss something.
I'm wondering if you've heard of a woman. She was in the news a few years ago. Her name was Germano. She was in the Marine Corps. And she was brought in to, I guess, a basic training to try to raise female scores in their shooting, that they were like too low for the Marine standard. Mm-hmm. And so she trained them and then basically got reassigned because all of the girls complained like, oh, she's too rough on us. She told us that we're responsible for our actions. We have to watch what we say or wear around men, not to drink. And it's like, you really let that slide? You're the fucking U.S. Marines. Of all the militaries I've seen, I have the most respect for the Marines because they're a brotherhood. Army is a close second, but
I'm going to be honest. I love the Marines to death. I do. Okay. Great guys. But there's a reason their retention rate is so shitty for first term enlistees, because they treat their people like a wall of red meat. They don't give two shits about their guys. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Well, now it seems like they actually give a shit about their women and their fifis if they're willing. Because that woman, she actually got all of their scores to go up to the range that the Marines wanted, but because their feelings were hurt, she got reassigned.
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, I mean, I've yelled at a lot of people in my career. I've hurt a lot of people's feelings, and I don't give two shits, because the reason I did it is to save lives, make them better, and complete the mission successfully.
Yeah.
So a question from chat, since we're on the military, is what's the dumbest thing you've seen a recruit do?
Oh, shit. Oh, I've seen some stupid ass shit. Well, okay. We had a guy show up when I was doing recruiting duty, wanted to be in the Army. He couldn't do 2 push-ups.
What?
2 push-ups. He's 18 years old, out of high school. At 18, you're supposed to be indestructible.
Right?
He couldn't run around the block. He couldn't do 5 sit-ups. He couldn't do 2 push-ups. And basically, I just said, hey, bro, You keep working on that, and when you get to 40-40 and you can run the 2 miles in 20 minutes, then you come on back because I can work with that. Right now, you got an Xbox body. I have no use for you. I'm sorry. Move out.
Yeah. Okay, so he was like
run 2 miles. Damn, that's slow.
Well, no, but if you're coming into the military and you can run the 2 miles, but you could do it in 20 minutes, they're going to make you run faster when you go to basic.
Right.
But you got to have something to build off. If you can't run around the block or do 5 sit-ups or 2 push-ups, I can't work with that. I can't do it.
Mr. Misanthropic said he'll have to tell stories about dumb privates on Monday.
No, I've had some stupid. I've had so many privates marry strippers.
Oh my
and
God.
literally, this is how the conversation went. Who is this woman? Oh yeah, where did you meet her? Oh, that's right. At Bojangle Booties. Yeah, that's gonna work out. Don't do that. Oh, but she loves me. She's different. 2 years later, he's doing the duffel bag drag. He's divorced. He's getting raked through the fucking coals, and he's standing in front of my office again. And I'm like, weren't we just here 2 years ago, bro? Didn't I explain how this was gonna go down?
Right.
They just keep making the same mistake over and over and over again.
Yeah. They think that women just want to be swept off their feet and, they'll just be dedicated to them forever. And that's what women portray themselves to want, but they really don't.
I blame Richard Gere.
And another stupid thing I saw some privates do was run from the NPs with dogs. So I remember I saw that. I'm like, don't run, they got dogs. Oh, too late.
Oh my God.
Just ripping them apart. I'm like, now you got to go to the hospital, get stitches, and then get your Article 15, you dumbass.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I wasn't in the military long enough, but some of the stupid shit I saw when I was in training, when I went to my actual training, people would hide in the barracks when it was time to do PT. It's like, how is this a smart idea? You don't want to do PT, so you hide somewhere where they can't find you. They're going to find you eventually, and they're going to punish you. And I guarantee you, the punishment they give you is far worse than waking up at 5 a.m. in your shorts when it's freezing cold. I'd rather do that than anything they have planned for me.
Well, my basic IT was infantry. There's absolutely no way on earth you're going to get away with that horseshit back in the day when I went through basic. No hiding. You just did it.
Jeez.
So one thing I was going to mention before about women in the military, I have a lot of respect for women in the military. The toughest chick I ever met, she was in the Marines. Like, you looked at her and you knew she'd kick your ass. But so many women, they got married in it and they got pregnant just as a way to get out. And it's just like, to me, the greatest disservice of all. And I've been told that a lot of women in the Navy.
My sister did that. My half sister.
That's a great disservice to your country, getting pregnant just so you can get out.
In my personal opinion, if a female goes in the service, she gets an IUD. And that's it. That doesn't come out until she makes E5, E6, and she gets married, wants to have kids. Because I've seen privates, these female privates, get pregnant, and they're on profile when they're pregnant, and they have the kid, and then they're on a recovery profile, and then they get pregnant again, and this will go on for 3 or 4 years, and the entire time they're getting promoted along the way, even though they're not doing shit. They're not advancing mentally in that, in doing that job. So by the time they come back to the workforce after they've had 2 or 3 kids, you have a sergeant operating as a private, and it just causes nothing but turmoil.
Well, even worse than that, they're putting them on the more comfy job so they don't have to work at all because, they're pregnant and they're delicate. And it's like, yeah, well, the rest of us are working our ass off doing what we need to do for the barracks, for the military, and
it causes a lot of animosity.
Yeah. And I'll just say it here first: Navy is the biggest sluts.
The biggest sluts.
They are. I mean, I worked with all of the militaries, and sure enough, every Navy chick was a slut. So,
Oh,
I'm not gonna argue.
so another question from chat. ICMI is coming up this year. Will you be in attendance?
You're fucking ain't right. I already bought my tickets.
Awesome.
Wait.
That's in Chicago. I believe 16, 17, 18 August.
Yeah,
Wait,
I wish I was going. I don't have the money, but one of these years I'll get out there.
Is that the one?
The men's conference? Yeah.
I didn't know it was in August. I thought it already happened. Huh.
No, that's in August. And the feminists are throwing a fucking shit fit about it too. So fuck
Oh,
it.
yeah. That'll be fun.
Really, I didn't think they noticed. Last time that was in Chicago, there was like barely any response.
Oh, I hope that we don't have any craziness, because I got involved in 2014 when they were trying to have it in Detroit, and I remember I inquired for tickets, and then they said we're probably not going to be able to do it because they canceled the venue because of threats, and I'm like, fuck that, not in my backyard. And I found the VFW hall where it was held, and made all of the ground, did all the coordinations to make it fucking happen. So yeah.
Nice. I mean, if we were able to make our goal for the campaign of the calendar this year, then we might be able to go, but it would be on very short notice.
We'll need to rework our campaign goal there. So,
well, the tickets I purchased have a hotel room attached to them. I think you can get tickets where you just come for the day and walk through the door. They're not that expensive.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, I'd have to.
do you have any plans on speaking, or are you just going to attend?
Right now I'm just planning to attend, and I mean, with my material, I would get up there and people would just would flip out, Not that I care, but I'm just saying it'd probably be bad for the event in the future. So,
for the serious part of it, it might be a little like
a little
controversial.
I can talk about all of the aspects of what's going on, paternity fraud and the welfare queen. I mean, everything. I mean, the deadbeat dad dilemma.
Yeah.
I mean, the deadbeat dad
moms are becoming more prevalent than fucking.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
like deadbeat dads are mostly dads that are pushed out of the fucking household.
That's exactly right. And when you look at deadbeat dad dilemma, I mathematically prove no matter what you do, you're a deadbeat to the kids that are not living with you.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, because the wages have not increased since the late 60s. Then you get divorced, and on top of your wages not increasing, they're now taking 40% of your gross pay to give to the former wench. So he has no choice but to either work overtime or get a second or third job. That takes time, then he doesn't have time to spend on the kid. So he probably pays his child support, but doesn't have time to spend any time with his kid, still a deadbeat.
Yeah.
Or you could just say, fuck it, I'm going off the reservation, I'm not paying shit, come get me if you can. Mm-hmm. You still don't see your kids, and you're still called a deadbeat. So there is no win in that situation at all.
Yeah. And as you have pointed out on your show, and I've done my own research on this, as much as it's bad for the man, it's even worse for the kids because they're going to most likely grow up to be criminals.
If you Google effects of fatherless children, it is a crash-up derby of failure of epic proportion.
Yeah.
It is insane. We're talking, unemployment, not finishing high school, rapists, murderers, going to juvie, going to prison, doing drugs, prostitution. I mean, it just goes down a rabbit hole of a bunch of bad choices.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, that is one reason why I fought tooth and nail to stay in my children's lives as much as I possibly could. Yeah. Because I don't want those outcomes for my children.
Exactly. Like, that's what's so important about having like two parents, like, or two paternal figures in your life, because like you're not gonna get all that you need from one. It just
Nope.
it's not gonna happen. Like
Nope.
two heads are better than one, period.
We have been raising children in a two-parent household since the beginning of time. And it's worked because we are here today. Now they've messed with that over the past 50 years. Our prison population exploded 700% since 1970.
Holy crap.
You know, the black community now has 71% out of wedlock births.
Mhm.
And when that number gets that high in the white population, we're going to collapse. We will not be able to afford it, and it will be ugly, and blood will spill.
God.
Now just listen. I don't like being the doom and gloom guy, but I'm just being honest because I've been I'm in the special forces. I've historically studied all of the craziness that's gone on in some of the smaller countries. I know all about low intensity conflicts and what sparks them. And having your government fail is pretty much on the top of the list. Look at Venezuela. They're going to start shooting down there any day.
Whew.
So one of the facts that we have relevant to this in our calendar, we have so many facts in it. Out of 13.7 million custodial awarded parents, only 17.5% were fathers. And this includes single fathers and shared.
I have a better stat for you. Statistically, it's 85-15. 85% of the time, the woman gets custody. 15% of the time, the man gets the custody. But what they fail to tell you is 7% of the time, the woman doesn't even show up in court. It's totally uncontested. So when you take that out, it's 93-7.
We're going to look that up later. Not that I disbelieve you, but we try to get the sources for all of our facts. So someone can't just say that we're lying. They want to make sure that we have a good, solid foundation. So
I mean, that makes sense. Like, of course the woman wouldn't be fucking... they don't got the balls!
I'm just... I don't know. It's crazy. And then, all this whole suicide thing with veterans and soldiers. In 08, 09, 010, I would hear something about a soldier suicide. I would Google it. I would find, the obituary or a write-up on it, and I would copy and paste it onto a Microsoft Word document, and I would do a find and replace, and I would look for divorce, custody, estranged, breakup, stuff like that. And in 70% of the cases, that was in the background.
Wow.
70%.
And only recently have they, what was it, Donald Trump said something about it. It's like, we need to investigate why veterans are committing suicide. And
I'm writing a script for Trump, and I'm gonna bust his bubble on that one because that's really aggravating.
Yeah, I have a love-hate for that guy, but it's like, he's the best of the worst options out there.
At the moment,
I'm going to be honest. I did not like his TV show. I really don't like his attitude. But I'm going to be honest. What we have up there in Washington now are corrupt, self-serving criminals on both parties.
Yeah. I mean, it's been that way for a while.
It needs... You know what? They need to start pulling. They're bitching about Trump's tax returns. They need to pull everyone's tax return and go, hey, when you came here, you had you had like $30,000. You've been here 8 years, and now you have $16 million. You only paid $275,000 a year. Where did that money come from?
Holy shit!
This was one of the few times that I agreed with Chuck Unger, or Chuck Yogurt, as you call him, because when I first...
Is that the guy from the Young Turks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to have this thing where he's like, he wants to go around to all of the states to try to ratify something to get the money out of Washington. And I think that would be a very good idea, that everyone has to be transparent with how they get their money.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Because I think we should have all of the information when we're going to vote, rather than what
If
they
it's
want.
ever discovered that they're selling votes or they've been bought off, as far as I'm concerned, that is treason, and they should seek the death penalty.
Oh, Hillary should be
Oh, don't get me started
the firing squad on that one.
Oh, wow. I cannot stand that woman. Oh, my God. If ever there was a piece of walking evil that was upright, it is her.
Yes.
I love how they portrayed her on South Park. Personally, yeah. Oh, that was great. Well, the newer episodes, they had like an older version of her, and then they updated their character and had like so many wrinkles on her face. Oh, it was great. I can't remember what her like code name was. It had something to do with vaginas. Oh.
I still argue that Hillary and Monica were actually sleeping together, not Monica and Bill.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Oh, scandal.
Scandal. I don't know.
That'd be a plot twist.
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky really pissed me off with Me Too came out. She's like, up until that point, she said that it was never rape. Until Me Too happened, she's like, oh yeah, Bill Clinton raped me. I'm like,
God, so many people hopped on the Me Too train.
I'm going to be honest. I did a video called Rape Religion, where I just tear apart the whole rape myth. I mean, when you hear the feminists talk, they're acting like they live in, like we're cavemen and we're clubbing them in the head and left and right. Statistically speaking, women have never been safer in a society in all of human history.
Exactly. Like,
And
do they? They don't even want to know.
It's a complete fabrication. In fact, it's gone beyond fabrication. It is a lie.
Mm-hmm. It's a delusion. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Yes, it is.
And so many women are just like on board with it because they're like, yeah, we have to protect women. So this is obviously like how bad it is. And it's like, go to fucking Saudi Arabia and then tell me how bad it is. Come on.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, and you know, I love the YouTube generation because we're able to do this right now, but it's also, hey, if I claim I'm a victim, then I'll get my 15 minutes. And that's what it is. It's that, hey, if I say someone raped me, then people are going to believe me. And if I carry around a mattress with me, maybe I can make it last a little bit longer.
I made a video about that wench myself. Oh my God.
You ever see her porno?
Yeah, I saw parts of it. I really wasn't that interested.
Right. That was just stupid.
She wants to make a video about her rape. And what I thought was the funniest part is after she was done, she was making her bed. And I'm like, one, why are you showing us this? And two, if this was about your rape, you should be collecting evidence, not trying to like put everything away.
Yep.
I couldn't believe that shit. Like, I mean, like, and feminists will still defend that, even though they found, like, you know, the text messages where she was like literally like, yeah, let's fuck again, like,
yeah, she wanted a second go, and he said no, and she, basically revoked consent after the fact, and then made all these accusations. I don't understand why more people don't sue these women for these accusations, because
right,
it's starting to happen.
I heard Drake sued a woman for false accusations recently, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude, like, good on you. Like, women act like they can get away with anything. Murder, pedophilia, like so much. They get away with, like they get off nearly scot-free, if not just paying like a little bit of bail, or fucking if they murder an entire family, they'll serve a little bit, fucking change their name, move somewhere else, and they can live a happy life from then on. That doesn't happen to men.
Nope. In fact, I'm doing a video, I'm still in the research phase, called Wango Tango, where I'm actually going through all of these, teachers that have slept with male students.
Oh.
And so far, I mean, if a man does it, a minimum sentence is 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
A woman does it, the minimum sentence is 3, with a large portion getting probation or suspended sentences. That is absolutely fucked up.
Yeah.
There's a case.
They're the same crimes.
There's a case that you might want to look up, assuming you haven't already. New Jersey Muslim woman. She was a substitute teacher, and she was raping a little boy. And when she got convicted, but when it came to sentencing, her lawyers argued that this was the culture she was brought up in, so that's why she thought it was okay. Now, the minimum sentencing in New Jersey for this crime is 5 years. They gave her 3.
That's bullshit. Somebody needs to start suing the state for sexual discrimination.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Like, I just don't understand why. Like, I mean, I know why. Because they look at the women and they're like, oh, well, you're in a bad situation. You have mental problems, so this is why you did this. And it's like, no, fucking punish them. They know what they did. They fucking know, okay? They're being manipulative little shits, just like that bitch Ford. Fuck her. Ugh. God, it makes no sense to me. Like, I've never been the kind of person to just take advantage of everyone that believes me. Like, why would I want to do that?
So
why would I keep living a lie?
You're talking about the woman that went after the Supreme Court Justice nominee? Yeah, that was... I have no idea why they aren't suing her ass for false accusations.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. Like,
I don't, if it was me, I don't care how big your alligator tears are. You're going to get your fucking ass suit off. Fuck that.
Exactly.
Well, they're probably telling Kavanaugh, like, just leave it alone. You got on the Supreme Court, let it go away. Because if you keep bringing it back up, then they, and that's the wrong attitude to have.
It is. I can't do that. I'm not programmed that way. I can't do that. I can't.
And no, we need more men like you, Pop, which I'll never say again. But, we need to start going after this. And we're actually starting to see that. There are like more and more news articles coming out about women falsely accusing men. Now, it's not making the mainstream media. They are obscure news sources. And that the police are starting to get really, really sick of it. And I believe there was a state that's trying to pass a law. I think it's like Alabama or Florida, one of those in the South, that are going to start making it jailable for filing a false allegation.
Now, they need to actually work on this, because there's a way around the false accusation by simply saying the accusation is unfounded. Because a large majority of them, they're unfounded. They're not prosecutable. Why aren't those called false rape accusations? Such a small percentage are called false rape accusations because either they admit to it, or they talk about it in front of somebody who overhears it, or they talk about it on Facebook and they get busted. That's wrong. I mean, if you make an accusation and there is no evidence, it's false. And it should be treated as such.
Right, like what happened to getting punished for lying in court?
Yeah, or false police report.
Yeah, like there's like, just wasting everyone's time to either make yourself look better, gain attention, or who the fuck knows? You could just be crazy. Like, I really don't understand it. Why?
In the false rapes that I'm seeing is some girl goes off, fucks a guy, her boyfriend finds out and claims it was rape.
Either that or their family. Like, I don't know. Some people are fucking weird, you know? They're just like, oh, well, if this person knows that I did this, then this is bad. Or like, I'm pretty sure I heard of someone saying they were late to their exams because they had gotten sexually assaulted the night before and used that as an excuse to not be able to show up for their exams. Like, stop! Like, just fucking take responsibility. That's what I've been thinking, like, the past week. Like, women just need to take way more responsibility for their actions because they're not. They're just passing it on to someone else.
They don't. It's the same thing with the abortion argument. It's the same thing with the abortion argument. You know, oh, I made a mistake, so now I get to murder another life form. What the fuck is that?
Well, they even go so far as to say, you got me pregnant. The man has the penis and the semen to get me pregnant, so it's their fault. And it's like, no, bitch. You let them put their dick inside you. It's both your fault. And it's probably even more so yours because you might have not even told them that you weren't on the pill. Who knows?
That's crazy.
Well, I think this conversation really ties into everything we're talking about because what I think it really is the pussification of America. I mean, we used to teach boys and girls, you're responsible for yourself. You know, go out there and do some yard work so you can toughen up and be a better person overall. Now we have it to where most children grow up in a single parent home. So, and it's usually by their mother, afraid of toxic masculinity and telling girls that nothing is ever your fault. So they can grow up and say, hey, I made a mistake. Let me blame someone else because I'm not going to suffer any consequences for my actions whatsoever because they were never raised to have consequences for their actions.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, I was told, like, when I was growing up, it was like, men are the predators. Women can do anything and you can be whatever you want and, you know, you're awesome. You can do whatever. And it's like, then I realized after a while, I was like, wait, like, nobody's fucking saying this to dudes. Like, it's all like girl power and like
that's right.
Where's the encouragement for little boys? You know, like more girls in STEM. Like, maybe they don't want to be fucking scientists. Maybe they want to knit for a fucking living. Like, just let people do what they want.
Yep.
Oh.
I mean, I can't tell you. I can open up the Detroit news on any Saturday or Friday or Sunday, and there will be 3 to 6 breast cancer events, either walks or whatever. Yeah. I have never seen a prostate cancer event.
Yeah.
Not one.
No.
Well, that reminds me of what Modern Medusa told me because she had actually done a little mini movie like you've done for breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
You remember that October?
Yeah.
But she was telling me that like someone came to her house collecting money for breast cancer research, and she's like,
no, that was
so are you raising money for men as well?
That was part of the skit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
really
I came out. No, it was based off of like just an idea we had. I don't know if people actually like go door to door asking for breast cancer. They probably call, I'm guessing. But like, no, that was just something we came up with. But yeah, I've dressed as a feminist, came up and I was like, hey, you want to donate to the Breast Cancer Foundation? And then my fiance was all like, or a Women's Breast Cancer Foundation. He was like, how about men? Like, men get breast cancer too. Is there a Men's Breast Cancer Foundation? I was like, excuse me, it's tits or get the fuck out. But yeah, it is like crazy. Like, especially like that's the whole point that I made in that video. It's like pink, 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 boobies, boobies, boobies. And it's like, oh, and there's also like a small amount of men who like get this. Don't worry about them. Boobies, we gotta save the boobies. And it's like really like it's, and then it also kind of goes against what feminists like. They're like, oh, don't sexualize women, but save the boobies. Like, you gotta pick one. Come on.
I know, it's crazy. And what narrative are you going to go with? I mean, come on, pick one and stick with it. I'm just sick of it.
That's
And
another
another
thing.
thing that really bothers me is when you
Yeah.
like talk to these feminists, they pull like this. Well, that's not my brand of feminism.
Yeah, they're not really feminists.
What do you mean it's not your brand of feminism? Well, I don't practice that. Like, shut the fuck up.
Like, what is there a difference between like? Is there different sections of feminism, like Episcopalian and Baptist and all this?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, I do have a few feminist friends, and yes, they know what I do, but I tell them about some of the crazy shit I see, and they're shocked by it. And it's like they are staying purposely ignorant about what their movement does so they have reasonable deniability. They don't need to know the crazy things that are going on. They just focus on the good things. So it's like when I say that I'm against feminism, in some ways to her, I look like a monster. Well, why don't you support? It's like, it's for these reasons. It's like, oh, I never heard about that.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, even as far as I have encountered throughout like the past few years of just, you know, talking with feminists, the regular, like, not radical, not so passive, just like a regular, like, calls herself a feminist, like, they almost always believe in a patriarchy, a rape culture, and the wage gap.
I've ripped apart the rape culture. I've ripped apart, you know, the whole pay gap. I've ripped apart the whole patriarchy thing. That's so stupid.
Yeah, but it's like, so, I personally think I see those ideas as radical. Like that, those are some of the biggest myths you could think about this country, like especially compared to the Middle East. And then when I bring up the Middle East, they're like, "Well, you're white, so you can't fucking say shit."
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the
Like,
sad part is they're still using arguments from the 1970s. Their arguments haven't updated at all.
Exactly.
You've even had feminist researchers say, incorrectly, but at least they're saying it, that there's a 10-cent difference. That's like a 90/100. And still they're saying the 70 cents.
I've ripped that. That has been debunked more times than Santa Claus. It's insane.
Right? Like that's one thing I don't understand, especially about women that keep talking about the pay gap. It's like, do you not have the internet? Do you just look at facts and like just see through them? Like, I don't understand it.
Well, you know, we're coming to the difference between ignorant and stupid. All right.
Yeah.
If you're stupid, you're born stupid. There's really not much more you can do, you know, to improve your station in life. But if you're ignorant, that means you have one of these and you refuse to look up facts and you want to remain stupid by choice. That's ignorance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
I agree.
I sometimes encounter these women who are talking about the pay gap, and I'm like, where's your evidence to support it? And they always have like, well, my mother's friend,
yeah.
And I'm like, then why doesn't she sue? Because in most instances, when you're suing about a paycheck, you're only suing for how much you could potentially make. But if you make it about sexism, you could probably score millions off of that. So if a woman is actually making less than she's supposed to, then she must be the biggest moron on the planet if she's not going for litigation.
Yep.
Oh, like out of all the things that women, the ridiculous things that women sue for, like, nah, they just want to complain. They like, because they know it's not true. They don't want to go after it because they know they're full of shit and they just want to complain about it instead of actually having proof.
It's the same thing with the pink tax. I ripped that apart too.
But actually, what it is that if they were to go after it and solve it, there's no money in that. But if they keep complaining like a religion, hey, we have the pay gap, hey, we have the pink tax, give us money so we can help fight it, and then don't actually do anything, it's 100% profit right there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow. You're true. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
But then there's the question of like how many people are actually aware that they're doing that and how many people are just like along for the ride.
It's like Pop is saying about stupid and ignorant. These people are remaining ignorant. My feminist friend, she's remaining ignorant on purpose because she doesn't want to know anything bad happening within the movement. She wants to believe that feminism is still needed, even though feminists today have more rights than men in almost every single category.
Correct.
And I mean women today, not feminists today. But
and every historic male organization has pretty much been destroyed by now.
Exactly.
Oh, did you hear about Girl Scouts of America trying to sue Boy Scouts?
Yeah.
What?
Boy Scouts is done. They should just pack it in, change the name, and do something else.
Oh my
Pack it in.
god. What are they suing for?
The Girl Scouts are suing the Boy Scouts because social justice warriors forced the Boy Scouts to accept girls into it. And they wanted to change the name from Boy Scouts to Scouts. The Girl Scouts are actually angry because more girls are going towards the Boy Scouts than staying in the Girl Scouts. So they're losing numbers, and they feel that changing the name to Scouts is making it gender inclusive. And so basically they want to sue so they can get girls back into the Girl Scouts.
Is that not what they wanted?
They're feeding on themselves.
God damn. No, yeah, you're right. They should just give up.
When you operate on emotion and don't use logic and reason, you're going to actually be turned into the snake that eats its own tail.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. It's so true. Like, it just... I wonder how many more, like, things are going to go down. Like, it's just... It's
no. There's a big fight going to be coming between women and trans women. Because women, can do anything men can do, but do it better until a man says, I'm a woman, and goes to your world and destroys it.
Mm-hmm. No, there are so many women or feminists who are against, like, trans people, period. And it's like...
It's going to blow up. I'm telling you, they're going to start feeding on each other because they're not following the logic and reason.
Yeah, well, we were already starting to see something about that. There was the transgendered powerlifter who can't compete in a woman's event. And they did a whole news story about this too. And it's just like, well, they've crossed the line. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean they crossed the line? You're the one who crossed the line. You will shatter every record that a woman set. Every bit of hard work a woman has done can now be replaced by a man being a woman. I have nothing against
pretending to be a woman.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do, you're not changing your DNA code. You're always, if you're a dude, it means you have an X and a Y. And when you're dead and you're on the table, they're going to check the box male.
It is important to recognize that, especially for gender diseases and complications and all kinds of medical stuff like that. But also, it's like, hang on, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, this is one place where I agree with. Go ahead.
Okay. From my perspective, if you are having some kind of gender confusion or you're gay or whatever, I mean, I think that those are very close together. But just think about how cruel the universe has been to you. You basically you come from energy to the physical plane. You make it through pregnancy. You're born. You make it through early childhood. You make it through childhood, puberty, the hell of puberty. And then you're a young adult. And then you realize you're orbiting Venus, but you have a Mars lander in your landing bay. Holy crap. That is the most vicious joke the universe has played on these people. And my heart goes out to them. I really feel sorry that that's happening to them. But it's unfair to try to force me to support your delusion. It's not helping you. It's only hurting you.
No, I think what's worse than that, everything you described, is that some of the people that should be on Mars are wanting to go over to Venus. They don't need to go to Venus. They just want to because it's the popular thing to do. So those that actually have a gender dysphoria are being marginalized. They're being ignored for this new wave of, oh, it's now popular to change your gender.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous. Like, I can name at least 2 lesbians off the top of my head since the whole, the big push for like the trans equal rights or whatever. Now they want to be dudes, and it's like, no, you were a lesbian, you are a lesbian. You can dress like a man and still be a girl. Like, that's one thing that confuses me about this whole the trans trenders, is that it's like, what happened to cross dressers? Like, they still exist, drag queens still exist, but why? Like, you don't have to transition. You can be weird, or not. Weird doesn't mean bad. You can, express yourself however you want to. You can wear insane clown posse makeup if you want to, but it's like, you don't have to transition. Like, express yourself and explore yourself and go through therapy, okay? Anyone can benefit from therapy. If you think that you might be wanting to transition to a different gender, go to a therapist. See how it works for you. A lot of people can come out of it with a lot of with a different perspective, I think. And it's like, that's all I'm saying. Like, why can't we have more cross dressers? You don't have to decide like that you're gonna transition to another gender. It's like, yeah, I'm gay, and sometimes I like to dress as a woman. It's like, cool, that's your kink. That's awesome. But it's like, I don't know. Some people just take it too far when they don't need to. It doesn't make sense.
Now, statistically speaking, I'm going to attack this like I usually do, using math.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Only a small fraction of 1% of the entire population of the United States suffers from gender dysphoria. Mm-hmm. And we are inconveniencing and violating the rights of everyone else for this tiny, tiny fraction of a minority. That is crazy.
No, the fact that you can be put in jail for misgendering someone is not only redonkulous. It's like, it's so absolutely stupid. Like, do you know how many people I've misgendered just by, like, that weren't trans? Like, my fiance gets called a girl all the time because he has long hair. Like, does he get to sue for that?
I have actually some words for that. One is a shimp, which is a she him person, or him she.
Oh my god, those are the best words I've ever heard.
Him she. It's more than just a sauerkraut you dig up in the ground in Korea, man. It's a whole new thing.
God. That's fucking great. I'm definitely using those in the future.
Oh, I'll send it to some people and they just flip the fuck out. What did you say to me? I'm like, no. I don't know who you are. You're talking to me, you got a deep voice, you got an abs apple, you're like 6'1", but you're dressed like a chick. I'm getting all kinds of weird. I'm just gonna call you both.
I heard the song Lola the other day. She walks like a woman but talks like a man. That fucking song. I was just thinking, like, when are trans people gonna like protest to get this off the radio?
That's been around since the 70s.
It looks like a lady.
And that one's been around since the 80s.
Yeah, now she is fucking a terrible thing to say. She-male is horrible. Did you know, I found out that on RuPaul's Drag Race, they actually had a segment called She-male, where they got mail, like fan mail, and read it as drag queens. And I thought that was hilarious. I was like, fuck yeah, like they're embracing the fact that, like, they get called she-males. And trans people hated it, and they made them remove the segment. And it's not, they don't have it on the show anymore, and they changed it to something else stupid. But it's like, come on.
I mean, to be honest, in all reality, I really don't give a shit what they do. As long as they don't force their shit on me or invade my fucking space, I don't care.
Right. Like, just
I
don't.
agree with you on that. And one thing that really pissed me off within the last 10 years, they tried getting the military to pay for it. Like, I'm going to be a trans person in the military and get the military to pay for my surgery. What?
Stupid. I don't think that's actually moving forward. I think Trump shot that in the foot.
Yeah. Thankful for Trump on that one, because if Hillary was in there, every person in the military would be a trans person.
Well, I know a lot of people who are like, I'm one of them, but I know a lot of people who got out of the military because it was turned into a social experiment.
I could believe it.
I mean, I was, I'm retired, but I probably maybe could have hung out for another 5 or 7 years, and I mean, the amount of tax dollars and resources, that were expended just to make me are astronomical. And then, you play games with the army and cause men like me to say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to Fort Living Room. It's over. That's a lot of experience that just walked out the door. You can't get that back.
Exactly.
The only way you get that back is you go to another war and a lot of people die and you have to relearn the same lessons over and over again. That's very expensive.
Yeah. God. Can you imagine how much, I don't even want to think about it, how much money women have wasted?
Holy shit.
Oh, God.
A lot.
I think we would need a 2-hour episode of Redonkulas to cover that topic.
Yeah.
First of all,
not even counting sugar daddies.
When a woman has a child out of wedlock, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a single mother. Statistically speaking, a majority of the single mothers take more resources than they contribute to the system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the benefits of welfare when you do the cash value of what they receive in the Section 8 and the cash vouchers and the food stamps and all that horse shit. It's depending upon the state, it could be as high as $75K, like in Hawaii. But normally, the average throughout America is roughly $35,000. And they're going to work a part-time job. They're not going to work, over 20 or 25 hours to lose their benefits. Mm-hmm. And the taxes we collect against those wages will never come anywhere near the resources that they're taking out of the system.
God. I wonder if there's even a comparison to, I was just thinking of, how much, I was going to bring up immigration, but
I covered these numbers in my video, System Surfers.
Mm-hmm.
I rip it apart.
There's just so many people taking advantage of, hardworking people. It's terrible.
Well, I just recently got food stamps and Medicaid myself. I can't work a job because I'm disabled. And I'm doing everything I can. I've started doing yoga. I've created a new therapy for myself since doctors refuse to help me, to one day no longer depend on the system. And I actually feel a little guilty that I'm doing it, but I have a legitimate excuse for it.
See, but that's what the system is for. All right. It's supposed to help you to get back on your feet and move forward. A lot of these single mothers, they have baby after baby after baby from 18 to 38, sometimes even into their 40s. And they'll ride that gravy train for 3 decades. Mm-hmm. And then when it's over, they draw Social Security.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want, like you're saying, this is supposed to help me get out. I've been in this for far too long. I want to be back out there with the world. I want to be making a difference in the world, or even just being part of the system.
Yeah,
I don't know. What's the difference?
Just be part of the fight, man. That's how it is.
Well, I do what I can from where I'm sitting, so I'm proud of what I can do. But it's having to take government assistance, I look at it as a temporary thing. So,
yep. But like for instance, I was watching in the news about that woman who had 14 kids. She's in a hotel room, and she's literally looking into the news camera saying, someone has to pay for these children.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Who is turning the crank on this baby factory here? This is insane.
Right? Who keeps putting babies in that? Like, for real?
Well, it's easy for a woman to walk in the bar and say, "Hey, you want to have sex? You don't have to wear a condom."
Yeah.
I just like that's the difference between people like that and you. Is like you don't see it as like you see it as something to overcome. They see it as like, I get a fucking check every month. I'm good.
I got my check.
Yeah, and then even so, like welfare, but also like child support. They'll take that child support, not spend it on the children. They'll spend it on themselves and still call the fucking dad a piece of shit.
That's exactly right. And I'm telling you, that whole child support thing just infuriates me because they take so much money from the dude that, like for instance, like I was homeless. I didn't have a job, but I still had to come up with like, at the time, like $1,100 a month. And then they look me in the face and like, oh, don't worry. You can get it reevaluated in 2 years. By then I'd be in federal prison because after $5,000, they can actually charge you with a felony.
Wow.
I don't understand.
A lot of women groups are trying to reduce that.
I'm going to be honest. I don't understand.
Well, have you heard
what? If I heard what?
Go ahead. Well, Dave Nelson, he was on news radio. I remember him being on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how when he was doing news radio and he got a divorce, he had to give his wife like $200,000 a month. But then the moment he stopped doing news radio and wasn't actively working, of course, he's making less money now, but he still had to pay $200,000 a month.
Yeah, that's so wrong. I don't understand why there isn't a barricaded gunman across the street from every family court in America 24/7, 365.
There was one case I heard in my research about a man who basically was married to 2 women, then got a divorce, and one divorce court said that he had to give like 60% of his income. He went to the other divorce court and they were saying like you have to give like 50%. And he's like, that's more money than I'm making. But one court wouldn't believe that the other court would do that to him.
It doesn't surprise me at all. It really doesn't. And I actually suggest to a lot of guys, like if they're going through a divorce and they're getting some crazy shit from the court, take the fucking county into federal court and sue them for violation of your fucking rights, your constitutional rights, because the family court violates the constitutional rights of virtually everyone that has a penis that walks through those doors, and they do so with the excuse best interest of the child.
That's another thing.
A lot of the cases I hear about men being considered the father, even if they're not genetically the father, and why the state pushes it on them. This is the theory that I have about it, is that the state doesn't want to foot the bill. They have to get someone else to foot the bill. So they'll just name whatever man they can. Like, oh, you're responsible for these children. Oh, you're responsible for her. And this actually happened to a friend's husband.
Actually, I did a video on this one called DNA Getaway, where I talk about this craziness.
Oh, no.
But my husband, he dated this chick. They broke up. He hadn't heard from her for 10 years. Well, it turns out she actually got pregnant from the last time they had sex and decided not to tell him. And she ended up in a lesbian relationship. She decided to get state benefits. And they asked who the father was, so she listed him down. She wasn't looking to get him involved at all. But the state decided that, well, if he's the father, he should be paying, and should be paying for all of the years that he never knew he was the father.
Yeah, you can fight that in court, but they do that arrearage bullshit. That's just wrong.
Wow, I didn't know that the woman had nothing to do with it. It's crazy.
No, it's the state. The state will. Man, I'm telling you, if you're a dude and the state wants your ass, they're gonna get their pound of flesh out of you.
God, I'm just
There's
afraid
also the
to
case where,
honestly.
there's also the case where a teacher raped a 13-year-old boy. He got her pregnant, and then as soon as he turned 18, he owed 5 years of back child support from the state. And this happened in Arizona.
So fucked up.
Hey, can you give me a
I
minute?
mean, he couldn't have worked.
I got to hit the pizza real quick.
Oh, yeah, no.
Alrighty.
All right, give me a minute. Just give me a minute.
Nice chair.
I want one of those chairs.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a good stream so far. How's everybody doing?
Well, great
Smithanon?
You know, it would be great if I could work. I mean, I hate not being able to work at all. A lot of people have recommended me to do like security work. Honestly, I can't do it. I like doing any one activity for a long period of time, even just doing a job affects me greatly. Because otherwise, I probably would have done that like 5 years ago if I could have. So, I mean, I hope it works out for you. But for me, it's like loading and unloading the dishwasher takes me out for like an hour after doing it. So, but more power to you if that works for you.
Welcome, Logan Stewart, Wrestling Dude, and Quoth the Raven. Thank you for joining us. Oh, dang, we got 15 watchers now. Awesome. Yeah,
Well, we got the Pop on.
Do you want to talk a little more about the campaign while we're here?
Well, those who know of us, we produced the 2018 calendar. We're going to be doing a 2020 calendar. Our Indiegogo campaign launches June 3rd. So find us on social media. We'll be posting it nonstop. But we are looking to raise some money to make a calendar. We're also going to make a quick reference guide full of men-related facts. So that's going to be exciting when you talk to those social justice warrior winches out there. And we're also looking we're going to be donating the proceeds of our sales to the Movember Foundation and probably hosting a Movember event with our calendar release in November.
Hopefully.
We're also interested in making a documentary and trying to go out to some conventions. So look for us. You can get a calendar, pre-order a calendar with us. We've got a couple of models confirmed so far. We're also looking for male models as well. We want to try to do a men's calendar. So many people are like, oh, why didn't you do a men's calendar? Because it's next to impossible to find men to pose.
Hey, I'm sorry about that.
Speaking of men, it's all right, man.
Oh.
Speaking of men, would you like to give us some aggressive-looking pictures for our calendar?
Oh no, I think
I'm not the guy for that. My aggressive, scary days are behind me, man.
No, I mean.
Okay, how about sexy then?
Sexy.
I was trying to make it as manly as possible. I didn't want to say sexy to you, but.
Oh my god. No, well, the main thing is to bring humor to it because, like, guys aren't gonna buy a man calendar to look at the men. They're gonna want to, either read it or laugh at it. And so that's the main goal with the men's calendar. The women's calendar is more sexy. The men's calendar is more like, hey, these are the men, like the awesome men that are in the movement that support, just the important shit like fathers' rights and shit like that. But yeah, we've got I think your boy Pat, he's on board. Mad Cat's doing it. So yeah, it's like it's not so much about the looks or whatever. It's like it's a funny thing. Like I don't know. One of my friends, Matt G. He should be in the chat. I don't know why he's not here this episode, but yeah, he was saying he wanted to do like a like a lumberjack thing, but like a manly man kind of, So it's like a lighthearted, just funny kind of little project that we're trying to do. And it's going to be a digital calendar, not an actual physical one. So it'll be like downloadable content, basically.
I don't know. I mean, let me think about it.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. But yeah,
I told you had to ask him.
What'd you say?
I said, I told you had to ask him. If a guy asks another guy pictures, they're just going to get beaten up. If a girl asks, he might say.
But no,
it's a valid argument right there.
Yeah. Sage Kronzel on Twitter. He was like every guy we ask, they're like, "Oh no, I'm not attractive, so you don't want that." I'm like, you don't have to be attractive. You don't have to be in shape. Like, just let me take a picture of you, because he's actually coming down to visit me. So I'm trying to get him to like let me take some sexy pictures of him on the beach. It'd be funny. I don't know. I think that'd be great.
Well, I love what you said. You said on that tweet, "Oh, you don't have to be sexy. Mad Cat's doing it." I'm like, oh well, thank you.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way, but yeah, no, you don't have to. You don't have to be like the macho man. You can be. We're trying to make it funny, but as far as women go, we are definitely looking for female models for the actual physical calendar, and those are supposed to be in like a pinup style, so more on the sexy side with a little bit of like, I mean, you can be cute. Can be classy. Like we had some women who were in like full like Victorian looking gowns and shit in the last ones. Like, just do your thing. But
I think we should return to our guest. The last thing I want him to be is bored.
Yeah, sorry. Let's stop talking about the calendar. But that will be happening soon. So yeah. Mr. Misanthropic said he wants me to take pictures. All right, yeah. That would be awesome. But no, he would have to be like drinking excessively in his photos. That would be interesting. So yeah.
Any more questions? Let's do this.
Let's see.
So someone did ask, when you were in the military, where were some of the places that you traveled to?
Let's see. All over the United States, Canada, Europe, and South America. I did not go to Asia at all, which I regret. One day I want to go to China and actually go see the Great Wall of China. And then I haven't been to Australia either, or the Antarctic. I have done training up in the north of the Arctic Circle, which suck balls.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I've been all over.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've had some friends tell me about Japan, and they're like, "Don't sleep with the women in the bars. They're all like gonorrhea."
Oh God.
Gonorrhea.
I wanted to do that. I'm like, I don't want to look silly in front of
No, that's even better.
No, I don't.
What was that one that you had?
I don't mind if you use my stuff. I don't mind if you show my videos to people. I mean, that's why I made them. So you don't have to be afraid of that at all.
We appreciate that.
Oh no, I'm just like it's kind of like hero worship at this point. I just think what you do. So that's why I dressed up as you for Halloween. It's just like to show my appreciation.
Oh, that's dope. Did you ever?
What did you think of that video, by the way? Since I have you here.
I liked it, man. I liked it. Well, imitation is the highest form of flattery. It's good.
Yeah. Dude, if someone dressed up as me, I'd shit my pants. Oh. Someone said, did you ever go to the Isle of Man? Wait.
Isle of Man. Isn't that like, that's somewhere around England, isn't it? I've been to England and I've been to Ireland. I have not been to Scotland.
I've always wanted to go to Ireland or Scotland. Oh,
the beer in Ireland was good, but you got to watch out for the ditch pigs. There's some fat, ugly women there with teeth that are messed up. And it's a problem. It was terrible. It was terrible. But the scenery was great. The beer was good. I don't really approve of English food too much. Didn't really like it. It was okay. A lot of steak and potatoes. You know.
That sounds good. Oh, we have a great Irish pub down here called Hoplite, and I always get Irish coffees and their fucking mashed potatoes.
Actually, I'm looking to open a couple bars, some Irish bars and stuff like that in the next year or two.
Nice.
Oh. So whereabouts are you in Michigan?
I am just outside Detroit. Like Detroit ends at 8 Mile. I'm right at 9.5 Mile.
Nice.
I was in Detroit for a little bit of time, for a couple of months. I was in Livonia.
I go to Livonia all the time.
And then I found out when I left that you were there. I'm like, how did I not know this before? Could have met you sooner, maybe.
Oh, the Isle of Man is in Scotland. Okay, yeah. So you said you've never been there. Yeah.
I've heard about it. I've heard about it, but you know, I'm with a bunch of other dudes, and you know, we jump in, you know, vehicles and go see some shit. There's only so much you can do on the fly, and scheduling a flight to Isle of Man was not on the list. So I mean, if I ever go back there, I'll probably try to go see the entire place. And my deal.
Now, do you still do work with the military at all, or are you done with that?
I am 100% retired from the military. I do have some opportunities to do some contracting work, but I don't know if I'm going to do that because I don't want to be away from my kids. You know, I'm really focusing on the comedy thing and doing the videos and getting this up and running.
Awesome.
And you know, I'm an old dog, but there's a lot of fight left in me, so I'm not ready to leave the game.
You got some amazing stuff. Like I was honestly like really surprised that you weren't at like 1 million subscribers when I saw you, to be honest.
I'm gonna be honest, I think that YouTube is fucking with me. I really do. Yeah. I think they've been throttling the shit out of my stuff, which is fine because when you shake the bottle enough, sooner or later it's gonna explode.
Yeah.
You can only hold the cork for so long. I mean, you know.
That's very true.
I put out good material. It's factual. It's funny. I try to be absolutely upfront. I don't lie to anybody. You know, I mean,
yeah.
They like it. They don't.
Yeah.
Well, what I love most about your show is that you do really give the facts. That, you know, you're not just looking for things to support what you're saying. You actually can tell you're digging in to find the facts, and you're doing a lot of research. Like, you know, the episode you did on Robin Williams after his suicide.
Oh my God. I was so upset when he died. Oh my. I had to pull my car over because I heard it on the radio. I had to pull my car over, and then I called my producer, and 20 minutes later we were filming that episode.
Wow.
Yeah, we filmed half of it, and up until the 21 guns. Then I did some research and came back and finished that second half.
Wow. Yeah, I love him.
There will never be another actor / comedian like him in our lifetime. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not.
I was watching a video earlier today about how the movie Aladdin apparently just screwed him the fuck over because he was like, yeah, don't use my voice to sell stuff. And then they were like, we're going to use your voice to sell stuff.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'm going to have to watch that video because, like, yeah, I've had a strong connection with him, like, ever since I was a kid.
Well, the second half of the video, and I really had to dig into the facts, and you can't even get all of the facts, but I'm a school trained intel analyst. I'm a trained civil affairs guy. I'm trained in psychological operations. It's not that big of a guess to make educated guesses that what was going on in the background of his life.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, I can't even imagine everything that went into it.
And he was getting fleeced for so much alimony. It was terrible. It's a crime.
It is. It's terrible.
Yep.
I don't understand how.
Well, did you ever do you watch Stephen Monanuel? Because he did a great thing on Robin Williams as well.
I do watch some of him. I like his work. He's way higher brain than I am. I mean, he's
right. It's hard for me to watch some of his stuff.
I mean, I think at a high level, but I speak at grunt speak. And he thinks and speaks at high level.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, the same feminist friend I mentioned earlier, she was like pro-circumcision, and I showed her the video of his where he talks about it, and it just changed her mind forever.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. First of all, I am not a fan of anyone talking about cutting on a penis with a knife. It's that. Yeah. No. No.
Just no. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, I don't want any sharp things near my genitals. No thanks.
I know, it's not good. No good can come of that.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat. Who's Peter?
So, is there any video of yours that you had the most fun doing, or are all of them just really fun?
Yeah, 500 miles of Mr. Right and Challenge Accepted were two of the funnest videos to make. And the Challenge Accepted was actually a response to a hate mail I got for doing 500 miles of Mr. Right, where I mathematically prove it is possible for a woman to get 500 miles of dick run through her in her lifetime.
Oh my god! Awesome. Holy shit! I'm gonna have to look into that. Look into that map.
I ripped that woman a new one. I never heard from her again after that. So.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
You ripped into her with 500 miles of dick?
No, I tore her argument apart using logic and reason and math.
Or also known as 500 mile of dick.
Oh.
Yeah, and
this should be a party where we just sit around drinking, watching all of Terrance Popp's videos until we just pass out from all the alcohol poisoning.
No, drink every time he says winning.
and then when I filmed that episode, that's when I came up with the dick stacking theory.
Wait, please explain.
All right. You meet a woman and you go out with her a few times and the question comes up about your past and you're like, so how many dicks have you had in you? If she gives you an honest answer, you take that number, multiply it by 6 and divide by 12. And in your head, you put them on the platform at that height. And if you push them off and they were to receive even a scrape on the knee, that's too many cocks.
That's great.
And then if they give you answers like, hey, I'm a free spirit, that's 50 cocks. Or if they say, hey, I never kept track, that's 100 cocks.
Oh god. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. No, I remember a woman. I think me and you talked about this a couple of shows ago. A girl who was like maybe 17, 18, bragging about how she's slept with 84 dudes. Like,
Oh my God.
okay.
42-foot drop. That's a 4-story. That's a fatal impact. Too many cocks. Too many cocks.
No, it really is though. Like, I don't even want to know what was going on up in there. Oh.
It's a bunch of DNA soup now.
Oh God. No, have you heard about the studies of how like women collect the DNA of men that have ejaculated in them over time?
It's called the chimera. It's called the chimera effect.
Oh God!
No, I have not heard of that.
You have?
That's crazy.
Oh yeah. No, it's
No.
Oh. Yeah, apparently the more semen you get injected into you, the more other DNA you have within your own. So your kid might even be like some fucking like other weird like DNA. It's just
Please don't say that. I don't want to think about that.
Okay.
I read that study and I was like, holy shit, that is just terrible.
Right. I think feminists got mad at it too. And they must have. They're like, this is slut shaming. Oh, well, maybe.
Well, it reminds me of another study. There's a book by Steve Moxon. And in his book, he says there's a study that 80% of the active genes that you have came from your father.
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah. I'll get you a copy of that book if you're interested, Pop. But
sure.
It's like it gives you new consideration of who do you allow in your life, or rather, who do you allow in your vagina? Because 80% of the person you put into you, that's what's going to come out.
My daughters are lucky then.
Yeah. There you go.
As long as they don't have your mouth, they should be good.
You know what? I've never heard them swear. I'm sure they do, but not around me.
Well, I'm sure they have a healthy fear of you.
I think it's more of a respect. I've only spanked my daughters in their entire life twice, and it was like 2 or 3 swats on the ass. That's it. I've only really yelled at them. I yelled at them one time about a year ago like a man, and they both just started crying, and they couldn't take it.
Oh, damn.
I felt terrible, but it had to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, I've always gone... I mean, I hope one day they appreciate the fucking, the fucking mile of broken glass I had to walk on to stay in their life.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, people in general just need to start appreciating fathers more, like they used to, like, people love to have, like, the idea of the American dream in their head where, like, the guy is, like, the awesome father that provides for everything, and then when you try to do that, they just shit on you now.
Yeah, they do.
Like, come on, like, just appreciate fathers more, and men in general.
Well, they won't appreciate them. They will not appreciate them until they are gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I joke around with you, Pop, but, anyone who has done what you've done to stay in their life, I know you to be a good father. I'm going to give you shit because I'm a man and you're a man, but I have tremendous respect.
Fine. I'm cool. People give me shit all the time. I'm cool with it. It's not a big deal.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, do your kids at all know what happened between you and your ex-wife, or have you?
I told them the deal.
Okay.
When they both turn 18, I'm going to give them the records of everything that happened. I have everything.
That's a good idea.
It probably won't be me giving it to them, but it'll probably be a friend of mine who said he was going to do it, and I couldn't stop him. So, I can't control other people's actions. So there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I hope that they look at that and say to themselves, "I will never do this."
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, we'll see, because if it happens, I'll give them hell for it, and I'm not going to allow them to exclude the father out of the kid's life. That's not going to happen. So
now, during the time, and this actually affects me a little bit personally, but During this turbulent time, did your ex allow the rest of your family access to your children when
No.
they were denied?
No. No. Now, actually, I brought that up in a couple of court cases. So, and the thing is persistence, because literally, towards the end, the judge is like, if you come in my courtroom again, I'm going to throw you in jail. And I just said, let's go right now. I went to SEER school. You don't scare me. And then when I'm in jail, the Army's going to come ask a lot of questions, and it won't go well for you. So then he's like, okay. And then that's when they gave me the 3 weekends a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. My kids leave from my house and go to school on Monday morning.
Wow. I'm really glad that you fought. Like, some people just don't have the confidence, and it's important to just keep
There's a lot of people out there who roll over or don't know what to do or don't think anyone's in their corner, and that's another reason why I make these videos. Like, I made the long game about guys who are getting excluded from their kids' lives, to basically be the best father they can be, even if it's from a distance.
Yeah.
And be the long game, because at the end of the fucking game, you're gonna win.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. I'm just gonna have to share a lot more of your videos, because like they're really like helpful to a lot of men. Like, just to, like, even if they're
Well,
not
line in one of your videos.
but they might.
I did some man specific videos like Dude Law.
Mhm.
And there's another one on, how to be a man in today's society. I don't remember the title, but that was in the first 2 years. I knocked that one out.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Well, there's a line in one of your videos. It might have been that Purple Heart video where you said, no, it was in your ICMI interview. You said you're a warrior and you're trained to fight. And I think that was very powerful.
Well, the thing is like, if you pick a fight with a fighting man and then you act surprised when you get a fight, you're stupid. Plain and simple. I mean, that's what I do. I'm a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been that way. I can't turn it off.
Yeah. And you see a lot of, like I was saying before, like a lot of like girl power, like empower women kind of things, but you don't see, like, the only like really things that you see like encouraging men are in army commercials or military commercials. It's just like, but besides that, it's like you don't really see a whole lot of, like, maybe from their own like male what's it called, like authority figures and peers and stuff like that. But like, as far as society goes, you don't hear a whole lot of like, let's lift men up, let's make sure that they're confident in the things that they're going through. You don't hear that. It's all about women, and it's like, sometimes they just need to hear, like, you can do it, like you don't have to feel like a bad person just because like you're going through this shit. Like, keep fighting for what's right, and what's it's just
you are only truly defeated when you quit.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've said this many times. They knock you down 7 times, you stand up 8, and you win.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, now now it's coming that we're going to tear men down. And I just saw your video on the Gillette commercial, which, thank you, by the way, that was well informed. I actually learned a lot about the company Gillette that I never knew. But it's like, we're going to do everything to tear men down. We want to destroy men.
That's right.
This is the feminist angle now. We can't beat men, so we're going to destroy them.
That's why I'm here. I'm not allowing that.
Exactly.
Why we're here.
Not on my watch.
Right. And I mean, there's so much pushback, from the left, especially, obviously. Just tons and tons and tons of women saying, just stop talking about this. Men don't need it. They don't need any help. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, you're just fueling the fire. You're just making me want to fight more, because like just the fact that of you saying that means that we have to fight for something.
That's correct. It's insane. I don't know. I try to wrap my head around how we got in this crazy ass fucking situation we're in, and I just don't know how it happened. It's crazy.
Well, something I want to say about all this, and you've actually been an inspiration to me, Pop. You and several other people, but your story is like, yeah, we really need to step up. But it's like, there are people out there. You can do stuff. Don't just wait for one of us to do it. If you want to go out there and fight, I mean, I'm a disabled man. I can barely leave my home. And together with Mother Medusa, I made a calendar. And it's like, imagine what I could do if I wasn't so shackled by my physical impairment, or not physical, but mental impairment. You just, like Pop is saying here, fight, go out and fight. The world is coming down on us, and the only way we get out of this is if we go out there. And if I can do it, I can guarantee you can do it.
Yep.
Man, give me all the good feels. Oh, such a wholesome strain we got here. Oh.
Well, fine. I'll say something sexist. Shut up, bitch.
Thank you. Right, I was getting too mushy there. Bringing emotions into it like a woman.
Excuse me, I'm having my period.
Yeah, sorry. All over the place. But yeah, so yeah, if anybody has any final questions for the chat, we'll probably start winding down.
How many guys do you have on your chat?
Right now we got 16 watching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we usually have anywhere from like 5 to like 20 watching, so that's a decent amount for us. But yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Like when he told me that you were gonna come on, and then I started watching your videos, I was like, oh fuck yeah.
Can't get more macho than Pop. So.
Yeah, exactly. He's the machoest man we got.
I try.
I don't know. I don't want to insult the other men. You're all macho. Oh.
No, I wasn't even sure if like you'd respond back to me, but I was like, what can I hurt? I'll just email him and see what he says.
I answer a lot of emails. I comment on my videos. I respond. I mean, I stay interactive with the people who watch me, and I mean, I'm only one guy, so I mean, if I missed anybody, I apologize, but I generally try to interact with the fans who watch the show. And in 6 years, I've only really banned, I think, 25 people, which is not bad. I mean, I allow people to say some pretty raunchy ass shit, and especially personally attack me, and I let the comments stand. You can go through, you can see them for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the ones that like consistently like go with the personal threats of like, the really creepy stuff that I try to ban. But other than that, I'm just like, whatever, you're just a troll,
Yeah. I did bust out one guy really bad. He was using I believe his real name. I found him on Facebook. I found one of his pictures. He had half a license plate displayed on the back of a car. I know people. Next thing I know, I'm like, hey, I had his criminal record, divorce history, where he lived, the cars he drove. I mean, I ripped him apart. I'd send it all to him. I'm like, you better shut your mouth, bro.
Dang, I bet he did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
So we got a question in chat. Are you still a MGTOW? I guess,
Am I a red pill guy?
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. I'll always be a red pill guy. I mean, how can you unlearn wisdom? You can't go back once you've seen the truth.
True.
You can't. And am I a MGTOW? Yeah, I'm not. I am never getting married again. So those words automatically make you a MGTOW. Yeah. There is no way I'm going to hand that kind of power over to anybody over me ever again.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I'm with you on that. I'm happy that I've never gotten married. Like 5 years ago, it was like the first time in my life I'm like happy I never got married. But it's like there's just no reason to do it. If you can't just stay in a relationship with a woman, you know, then it's not worth being with her. If she's like, oh, well, we have to get married, it's like, okay, we're done.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Any woman that tries to pressure marriage on someone else or anything really, any controlling kind of bitch, you don't want that in your life.
Nope.
Oh.
I covered that in a couple of videos too. One was called "Cunt Moves." Yeah, that's one of them.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of videos in there, man.
Yeah, quality.
How many
shit.
videos would you say you've done over
How
the
many
last
what?
6 years? How many videos have you done?
I think we're at 569 now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I started when all of my videos got demonetized by YouTube. Then I started doing the live from the lair and telling the army stories because one, it's good therapy for me to get off my chest. Two, people who've never experienced the military can hear firsthand the shit that goes on inside. You know, unedited, you know, words from somebody who's been there. You know, and I don't know. I spent so much time in the army. I will never ever be free of it, nor do I want to. I really enjoyed my time. If I could push a button, go back to the age of 18, I would go back in the army and do the exact same shit I did, with very minor changes. Very few people can say that.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't one of your videos when you're talking in the lair taken down?
They did. They took one down. I don't remember the name of it, and it was stupid. I basically we reshot it and put it back up, and no problems. But they took down "Can't Cut the Mustard." That was like for women in the military, and they took down my anti-suicide video, and I got a strike for that for some reason. Even though I don't. All I do is tell people not to kill themselves in a comedic way. But they didn't like it, so, you know, what are you going to do?
It's strange. But it's fucking YouTube, so you can't really.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, there's other platforms that are growing. What YouTube has done, you know, they're going to be hating life in 5 to 10 years from now when they actually have legitimate competitors they have to deal with. Yeah. And they are the ones who created those competitors by playing these silly games.
Yeah.
Well, it already stands. Google doesn't make that much money from YouTube. So, what you're saying, 5 to 10 years, they're going to be pretty much defunct.
It could be, yeah. Could be. Then I'll have to start my own server and move my shit all on there. And people go to Redonkulas.com and watch whatever they want.
There you go.
I'm actually trying to get my videos on Pornhub, but
really?
Yeah, I think that'd be great if I had like my own little comedy channel on Pornhub.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. No, actually, I did upload our campaign video, or no, it was the meetup video that we did for the lovely ladies. I uploaded it to Pornhub, and my mom found it.
How did you do that? You got to show. How'd you get it to upload the Pornhub? How the hell do you do that? I can't get them to respond to my emails to open an account.
Really?
Yeah.
It might be just a girl.
Maybe. I don't know. That's that woman privilege.
You gotta show your pussy and then you get on.
See, I didn't even do that, so it's just.
I'm being facetious.
Oh. You know, yeah, that'd be awesome if you could do that. Maybe you got to put a blow-up doll or something in one of the things.
I don't know. Well, you know, when there's a will, there's a way. Maybe I'll run into somebody who actually has any like clout inside that organization that can help me out.
You could try X videos. I feel like they're a little more lenient. Oh, but that's also less popular.
Yeah, I know, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Well, you go on to less popular and help them to become popular.
No, I mean, I'll upload my videos anywhere that'll have me. I don't care.
I'm surprised Pornhub wouldn't let you.
Well, they haven't said no. They just don't respond. That's a
Yeah,
difference.
that's very. That's I don't know. That's strange because when I did it, it was just like, oh, there you go, you're good. Oh,
All right, all right.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah. If I see you on Pornhub, I'll be I'll be very interested.
So, a quick question for you. There's someone in chat. He's been talking that I guess he's married, and they've been talking about having kids. And obviously, we should have kids. But what advice would you give him in that situation?
Okay, first of all, if it's a first marriage and he's younger than like 35, 33, you know, and you think you have a solid foundation going, then by all means, go ahead and have some kids because they are the greatest sense of joy and purpose in your life. Okay, if this is your second marriage, you don't do it. Don't do it because the odds of it imploding or and going sideways on you are too high to risk it.
I mean, that's a really like powerful thing to say because like it just pisses me off how feminists like downplay fathers in general and just talk shit about them and say that men are emotionless, and it's like, how are you going to say that to a father that is literally their whole purpose in life is to just provide for their child and make sure that they feel loved and cared about? It's like, why would you be so like, you know, the bond between a mother and child is so sacred, except for when they want to get an abortion. But then when men talk about you know, their bond, they're just like, whatever, you know, you're a man, you can possibly know what it's like. It's like, no, you don't understand.
Well, that right there is one of the main fuels for the soldier veteran suicide because they get out of the service, they're dealing with readjusting, maybe they have PTSD or some other physical challenges, and then they lose their children, which, by the way, is the most painful thing a parent can ever experience. And the court hands that out like that. Okay. And then after that happens, they lose hope and then they eat their gun.
God. That just reminded me of Mrs. Doubtfire, like the scene where Robin Williams is talking about how much he loves his children and all he wants to do is see them, and he talks about how it's like they're taking away his air, like how he's gonna breathe without air, and it's like, how are you gonna be so like I've heard so many horrible stories about people who literally lost their child because, you know, they passed away with some horrible freak accident. You never get over it.
Nope.
It's almost the same thing. You can't see your child.
It's different in some regards and worse in others because the child's alive.
Yeah.
You can drive by the child's house, you can drive by the child's school, but you cannot talk to the child.
Yeah.
And you have to pay for the child too.
God. Yeah, it just makes me so upset. It doesn't. It
and
really doesn't.
Let's wind it back. Take it from 10 back to 8. Let's not have any waterworks.
Right? Like,
I don't want to that. Let's turn the humor on here. Let's not have no crying.
Right? No, yeah, that's what made me think of Mrs. Doubtfire, because it's like that's such a funny movie, but he puts in so much like heart and emotion into like everything. It's like it's just so powerful and really shows like how important fathers are, period. And it's really fucked up how just anti-male the entire country.
I know, it's insane. That's why I do what I do.
Well, you know, I'm actually I mean, I kind of knew what you were saying anyways, but, you know, it kind of saddens me that I might not ever get that experience because I'm almost 40 right now. And I still want children. I still want to be a father, but I just don't know if I can ever trust a woman enough to have children with.
Yeah.
Not even
You
in
know what?
surrogacy.
I don't
Like,
blame
pay
you.
a woman
But typically, if a man is older than 35, don't have the kids.
Mhm.
Because by the time they go to college, you'll be 65, 64.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're a senior citizen. Yeah, don't do it.
I have a family friend who got married, have 3 children. They're all in college now, and he's in his 70s. And he got married again, and divorced again. And now he's, you know, all alone, very old, with children in college. And I'm just like, holy shit, dude! Like, you know, he's very active in his children's lives because I guess the mom wasn't as evil. I don't know. And
It's very common. She's a gunch. I got it.
yeah, she's
You should send her my videos.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's really, really sad. Like, because, oh god, like, women just have it so fucking easy. Like, they could
Yeah, they do.
go get pregnant, fuck off to someone else, and be like, hey, I got this vagina booger. You want to take care of it with me? And they're like, okay.
I'm actually trying to tell these guys not to have anything to do with single mothers. Not on a permanent basis. Don't do it. Why should you waste your resources and your time to raise a child that's not yours? Why? Why do that? No.
Yeah. It's like,
the last girl I was with, the one who was very abusive, she had just left her husband, and I knew her back when I was in the Air Force. We had known each other for like 18 years. And she was essentially a single woman, a single mother. But I remember, like, when Thanksgiving came around, because we were living in like a 1-room apartment without really a oven, I went and I was going to get myself a Thanksgiving meal because I really wanted Thanksgiving. I was going to buy the turkey, I was going to cook it and whatnot. And her suggestion, because we were trying to figure out the logistics of all this, she's like, how about I pick it up on Thursday, and then me and my kids, because I wasn't around to be around her kids for some reason. It's like, how about me and my kids, we'll eat it first, and then after they leave, you can have what's left over. I'm like, I'm paying for the damn turkey. Why should I be second to eat it? No, I'm going to be the first to eat it. Your kids can have some afterwards if they want, but I'm paying for it. I'm getting it.
Correct.
that's crazy. I don't remember you saying that. Oh, yeah. No. The funniest thing is, though, that they probably wouldn't have even left you anything. Oh, God. Like, I don't understand the selfishness. Like,
well, the women are like this because they can.
Yeah.
If the men out there would take their power back and say, you know what, it's my money, I earned it, you don't get it unless I let you have it. Period. Hit the bricks, baby.
Yeah, and now it's like, I don't know, like the way that gender roles worked back, way back when it was like, yeah, I'm the man of the house. You fucking, like, I know what's supposed to be right for us. Just fucking listen to me. It's like, that's out the window now.
It wasn't even really like that. It really wasn't like that. Both men and women create a home. Men went off to work, women stayed behind. They both put in all of the hours, and they were both proud of what they had. It wasn't, I'm the man, I lay down the law. It was, hey, we're in this together.
I'm saying as in, like, now men can't assert their dominance in any way. Not
over anything. Have you seen the Duluth Wheel of Power? everything that you could possibly do is domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say your wife has a gambling problem and you turn off her credit cards. Domestic violence. Say, you earn the money of the household and you maintain control of it and you buy stuff for the house as needed. Domestic violence. Say she sits around, she gains about 25 pounds. You say, hey, you need to start running. You're fat. Domestic violence. Everything. I mean, you just look. Everything can be domestic. It's insane. There's nothing you can do that's not domestic violence.
Yeah, I mean, even oh god, like some of the guys that just like not literally take it up the ass, but they just like they just take whatever they throw at them, and it's like they'll blame you for not having sex with them, so they go and cheat on you. But then if you catch them, then that's your fault, and
I made a video about this called "It's All Your Fault." I cover all of the aspects of the bullshit these women do.
I watched one
and then
cheating
they go
video.
on Vox and write an article about, how a woman cheating on you is fighting the patriarchy.
God damn.
Whatever.
Sure.
I bet you when these women are, like I say on my show all the time, 40 to 80 is a long motherfucking time.
Lots of cats.
Yeah, when you smash through that wall and you come out the other end and there isn't all of these beta men around like there used to be, you are on your own. And guess what? Feminism does not care about you once you smash through the wall. They don't give two shits. You are no longer useful to them. You are on your own, and there'll be no men there to bail you out.
No. Yeah, no.
Or any women to speak with if you want to be a political lesbian.
Political lesbian. Oh.
Yeah, that's such a thing. Women who are actually straight choose to be a lesbian to fight the patriarchy.
Well, good. I don't need them anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that was my attitude with the sex strike. Now we know which women not to sleep with.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
I refer to them as a bunch of lumpy liver lickers.
That's great.
Well, I think on the last episode we discovered that what's her face, the one who started it all, she has herpes, so it's like, well, she's not having sex anyways.
Milano. Yeah.
Alyssa Milano, yeah, she has herpes, so.
She has herpes? Who's that again? Melissa Milano. Who is that?
She used to play on Who's the Boss. She was the daughter.
Oh.
And she was the one who started the sex strike.
Oh, she got the herpaganosyphilades?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Maybe you should start a sex strike for yourself, Probably just keep that to yourself.
Don't be spreading that.
Oh.
That's a bummer.
It's too funny too. Did you see the meme that I shared? It was like Schrodinger's pussy, and it had Alyssa Milano in like the Handmaid's Tale outfit, or like it had two of her, and one of her had a sign that said "Won't fuck so I can murder babies," and the other one says "Will fuck so I can murder babies." And it's like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense whichever way you twist it.
It's crazy.
Oh man, I gotta pee. So
right. Well, we've been going now for 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Right, I was gonna say we could probably start wrapping up here.
All right.
So yeah, anything that you are willing to show, go ahead and tell people where you're at.
All right. Well, I run Redonkulas.com. I have a YouTube channel. You can search under Redonkulas or Terrance Popp. And I got a whole boatload of wisdom there, linked up with humor and some vulgarness and adult language, just letting you know up front. And if you are not offended, I am not doing my job. Please email me and let me know how I can offend you so I can get better at it.
That's awesome.
Say you're a feminist. That would affect me.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely check his stuff out. He's fucking awesome. I need to just binge watch your videos. my fiance, he only heard like he like listens like in the background, like secondhand hearing or whatever, and he's like, oh wow, that guy sounds really awesome. And he came in and was like, hey, do you have that guy on that you were watching the video about? I was like, yeah. So yeah, everybody can enjoy some pop.
Here's the story. Tomorrow night, or tomorrow at 3 o'clock, the new video is coming out, and it's called The 3-Way Survival Guide.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look at this. Awesome.
The Devil's 3-Way. Yep, I went there.
Yeah, I did too, and that's when I started saying, "Sucking dick doesn't make you gay. Enjoying it does."
Jesus Christ! I didn't mean that. I mean, I actually subject. Wow. You're trying to get me an indirect homo suspicion point, man. I'm gonna duck that one. Hey.
No, I'm gonna have to see what you have to say about that. That'd be interesting.
Okay, time for the show.
Yeah, go ahead.
All my stuff is down below. Of course, I'm still doing Patreon because I'm not popular enough for Patreon to hate me. We are doing PayPal as well for the Macho Show. Anything you donate to that goes to both of us. I'm trying to save up for actual insurance so I can see an actual doctor to get my disability treated. Because now I'm on Medicaid, but those doctors suck. They don't really want to treat you at all. This is why universal health care is such a bad idea. If you don't want to do that, understandable. I also have my book down below. It's called How to Destroy a Woman Now. It's based off a book, How to Destroy a Man Now, which actually contains illegal shit in it, like defamation, like how to destroy an actual man's life. My book, it's immoral, but it's not illegal. And one of the key things I say in there is don't do anything in this book. I want it so feminists will be angry with Amazon. They take it down, and we can encourage them to take the other book down. So buy my book so we can get both books taken down. Modern Medusa's on the cover. And lastly, I also have my wish list on there. My birthday's coming up. I could use a little pick-me-up. So if you want to support me in other ways, consider buying me a gift.
Yeah. Oh, all right. But yeah, you know where all my stuff is. I got my art, I got my cosplay stuff, and all that good shit. And don't forget that we're gonna be launching the campaign. Sorry, I forgot the word for a second. On June 3rd. So yeah, thank you everybody so much for joining us. Thank you, Terrance, so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Actually, this was very a good experience.
Yeah.
You know,
we talked about all kinds of stuff.
I didn't get pissed off at all. I thought we laughed the whole time. It was a good time.
Yeah.
What were you expecting to get pissed off?
Well, you never know on these things. Like I did one a while ago where I debated some feminist, and she was a complete idiot, and that really pissed me off.
Oh, that'd be fun. Feminists don't want to come on our show. They're like,
no, we're idiots. No.
Oh, all right. But yeah, this is an awesome show. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Check out Terrance Popp and all his stuff. Check us out. And I hope you have a very macho night. Please.
Happy Memorial's Day.
Yeah.
How'd that go down?